right, ladies, I have a very special guest, Emily Hill, coming in. Emily, could you please introduce yourself and then we're going to dive in.
Yes. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily. I'm a mom of five, a seven-figure business owner, and a former computer science professor. And I grew my first business from 0 to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures in under 3 years.
That's unbelievable. That's like a dream come true for almost anybody who has these aspirations, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
and then I got to
so
see everything on the other side of like the challenges of doing that. And so now it's not like this shiny thing anymore, but it's I like it's still the dream, right?
the dream, and then you get a new set of problems, right?
Right, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so I always love to know backgrounds. So,
Yeah.
like, who were you growing up? How did you meet your husband? How did you have all these bazillion kids? And then how did you end up in computer sciences? Like, give me just like the quick Coles Notes version of your trajectory here.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually met my husband in high school, which we're in a suburb of New York City. This like never happens. I know in other more rural areas of the country, this can be more typical. Like, how do you meet people? Well, you meet them at school. But in my area, people leave. They don't stay typically. And so it was really unusual that I met my husband at 15. We've been together for 30 years now. Like we lived apart for the first 10, almost 11 years before we were married. And we even lived apart for the first 2 years after we were married because I was getting my PhD in computer science.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I would be an educator. I just didn't know what form it took. It was either that or music. So my husband's a music teacher. We met doing music. I just never saw it as like a career path for me. Now I have a side hustle. I sing funerals and weddings and at church. So
Oh
I
my
do have a
gosh.
side hustle, singing now, like, 20 years after taking formal voice lessons. But I just felt like tech is where it's at. And more symbolically, tech embodies uncertainty and change. And I love the wind. I love change. Like, I just love moving things. And that's kind of what I do. I help build momentum. I help pivot. I use leverage. And so that's eventually I ended up in an academia. I was a professor, and it was a great work-life balance. I made just shy of 6 figures every year, working like 7 months out of the year, maybe 30 hours a week. Most people would be like, oh my gosh, the dream job. Problem was, is we were house poor in our area, in our expensive suburb of New York City. And we couldn't do vacations unless we put them on our credit card. I'm like, this is not living. And so I was like, what else is out there? How else can I generate revenue? How can I create income? At that time, I wasn't saying revenue, I was saying income, but now I know it is revenue. And I found out that being a business owner and entrepreneur is actually like, it's what I'm built for. And so I was putting myself into this box to keep my family safe. And my loved ones safe by going into academia where I couldn't be fired. Like it's like, there's like all this safety. But I'm actually like my blood pressure was super high. I was super stressed out. I was doing all these things to help de-stress myself. Even lost the sight in an eye for a summer because of stress. So like when I
What?
say I put stress as like a high value thing that I pay attention to. Like, no joke, I have a built-in stress detector. Like the residual scarring, I can tell you where my cortisol is. So, anyways, I have a superpower now. But like once I
I
started
love it.
stepping into entrepreneurship, I realized like this is my calling, this is my dream. And even though it fluctuates, I don't always know where my bills are getting paid. My blood pressure is like super low because this is where I'm meant to be. So then I started
Yeah.
my first business. I made a 14-page business plan. I was like, I'm going to create $2 million in 2 years. I pitched it to my university. They declined. They would rather sell off their property than invest in this idea. And then I left and I did it. And I created $2 million in 2.5 years.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
pretty
I
fun.
love this story. I love also that you just said tech represents uncertainty and change, and that's what you love about it because that was not my like that's not a normal person reaction to tech, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think a lot of us are like tech is something we have to learn. It's an amazing tool that we get to figure out how to learn. But I think a lot of us always feel like we're behind the ball on tech, whereas you're like, oh my gosh, what's next? What's next? Okay, so tell me how you ended up building the first 7 figures because we met in a program years ago that was
Mhm.
literally helping us learn how to scale. And so, how did that all kind of play out?
Yes. So I first started close to home, right? As a computer science professor, I was like, I can totally teach people how to become a 6-figure software developer. like outside of academia because I was in charge of the curriculum. And so like I knew that I'd been teaching it for years. I'd made it my life's work because I went to college thinking I would get a good tech job on the other end. Wrong answer, not what it's designed for. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I took this. It's like all these people are coming in droves to get computer science degrees, expecting to be hired on the other end, but the university structure is not designed for it. I was like, this sucks. So I went to solve it, right? So I found a problem in my life, I solved it. And so that was the first thing I did. The way I scaled it, it's actually really entertaining. So I, because there's like a baby in there, just becomes really fun when you look at it. So I started in that program. The program we were both in together was the first ever coaching investment I'd ever made. It was 10K. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. And it wasn't necessarily, I did connect with people that were really transformational on my journey. But it wasn't necessarily that program. It was the connections I made in that program that actually made the
Mhm.
difference. And I enrolled in another program at the same time. And so both, I find I learn best in the difference between. So I never need one book to learn something. I always need two because I have to look at where they overlap and where they're different. So I needed two programs. So I enrolled in those and they got me to my first sales. I made, I think, 25K my first year after investing in those programs, my first fall. And then I was like, okay, what's next? At that point, I was like, okay, I had my first pay in full for 15 grand. I was like, okay, I got one in November. I'm sure I can figure this out by the next spring. Because when you're a professor, if you're going to leave responsibly, it takes a year to find your replacement. So I told them in November, I was like, okay, I'm leaving. This is it. This is my last year. So I said, see you later. No safety net. Like, didn't have, I was just one paying full. Now I realize just how reckless that was. Like,
Yeah.
at the time, I was like, I got this. I'm doing, I was full of fire. So I invested in another program. It was even more expensive. It was a 25K program. It was called Six Figure Speaker. And I learned, so for me as a professor and a musician, a singer, this was my place. These were my people. So I learned how to sell from stage. From Eileen Wilder, she's one of Russell Brunson's like poster students. And Joe, anyways, he goes by Joe online. And so they were incredible. They created an incredible program and they taught me this system of how to create a master class to sell from. And when I ran it, I got my first master class. I got six people to show up, three of them book calls, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I negotiated payment plans and I got three closes. They were like a few $100 a month, whatever. I'm keeping the lights on. Business is moving,
That's right.
right? And then I'm working. And then finally in April, I finally figure out what happens if I cut my price in half. Because 15K was still like I was just wasn't converting strong at 15K. So I cut it to 7,500, three people bought. Okay, cool. Clearly I'm onto something here. And so that summer, payments and loans were flowing easily. I generated 250 grand that in that next year, which was awesome. Now, meanwhile, I'm leaving my day job. Don't have a backup plan. So I really needed that win, that six-figure win. I found out in January, before I ran my master class, that I was expecting baby number 5. So here I am. I've only had one pay in full. I have 4 babies. I am the primary wage earner because New Jersey, my husband's salary as a teacher, a music teacher, it covers like the mortgage or childcare, not both. Like I am covering the show. Everything else, right? He's got awesome benefits. And I have a baby on the way. So I fund my own maternity leave. I make 250 grand that summer. Things are launching, things are moving. And then I was like, okay, I'll take some time off. I'll be with the baby. I still delivered, but I took a break from selling. Well, as anyone in business knows, the market moves. And so I came back in the fall, a year after my first pay in full, after creating 250K, and the market had moved and they weren't buying. And I was like, what the frig? And I got down to $2,000 in my bank account. And I'm like, oh my God, do I need to stop? I haven't made 7 figures yet, right? It's not there yet. And I was like, I have this retirement. I had a couple 100,000 in retirement from being a professor. I was like, let me take a small chunk out. The business is covering its expenses. It's just not enough for me. Let me cover my expenses for a few months, see if I can figure things out. And I do that. still working, limping along, covering the bills, but not really doing anything, using my retirement. And it becomes May. Okay, it's May. And my husband is a teacher, and his salary runs out in June. Oh my God. I have to make this work or I have to go get a job. Like there are no two ways about it. I found this one other coaching program who is related to speaking from stage. He just did it a slightly different way. He'd refined it to do it without sales calls, which I found very overwhelming. Like it's hard to scale if you have to be on call all day long. So I was like, ooh, let me try this. And he actually coached me. He actually coached me to lower my price again, which is like a historic thing for me. And it's a challenge that I'm working through. I do not recommend this. In fact, I lived the why you don't want to keep lowering your price. But, anyways, this was the vehicle that got me to my 7-figure goal. So, like, lesson learned. And so I enrolled in that the first week of May. I ran a masterclass every week for 3 weeks. And in the third week, pay dirt. I finally converted. So, because he listened to my statistics and he knew that lots of people were showing up. I had like dozens and dozens of people showing up through the end asking questions. He knew they wanted to buy, but the price point I was pricing it at, whether it was 7,500 or 15K or 10K at the time, I don't remember what. I did a lot of price testing that back then. Um, he knew it was the price was the reason they weren't buying. So he said, "Here, why don't you offer it for 2,500 up front and 2,500 after they get the job?" And he like helped me workshop my offer a little bit. We offer engineered it. I made 10K in a day, 20K in the first week, and I had made $2 million 9 months later. Like it went 20K month, 50K month, 150K month, 200K month. I brought in a setter and a salesperson before the big, like within 2 weeks. And then we scaled it. We hit 1 million in November. We hit 2 million in February. Of course, then like I really like I was making a lot of rookie mistakes. In fact, there was an article once that said all the things you need to do to make $1 million business, and I broke literally every rule on that list. It was kind of like a Business Insider post. I did everyone wrong, so it didn't stay. I made a lot of mistakes, but I did. I generated 2 million in revenue, and like there was a time when I was like 2 grand away from shutting down, and then literally less than a year later, I had created 2 million.
That's insane.
This is what keeps entrepreneurs going when it
Addicted.
gets tough.
As you grab that win and you're like, now I
Right.
know I can do it. Now I can do it again. I just have to figure it out, right?
Right. Only now I'm going to do it in a way that's like easy and fun and not like beastly where I feel so frustrated. I want to burn it down. And in fact, I did a little bit. So like,
Yeah, fair.
anyways.
Okay, so my question is like right about this exact trajectory or timeline that you just talked about.
Yeah.
What would you say the biggest difference was between when you were sitting there like you burned all the bridges basically, like burned the boats. You're
Mhm.
about to have a fifth baby. You've got 15K pay in full and no other evidence other than blind faith in yourself basically. So, like, what is the difference between your mindset, your thought process, your drive, your everything at that point versus after you hit the $2 million, made a huge, a whole bunch of mistakes, but now you know you can hit that level, so you do it differently. You know what I mean? Like, for somebody who's listening who's like, I want a 7-figure business so
Yeah.
bad, but right now I'm not even at six. So what's the difference? What can you say about like your thought process at that time versus after the 2 million?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I think the biggest thing for me, because I love going fast. You might have gotten a sense of this already from our conversation. There's like cars behind me. Like I love speed. And I actually end up, and because I'm in tech, I was able to automate as I went, even before AI, right? Like this all happened before AI,
Yeah.
right? Like I just automated as I went because that's what I do. Like, but I actually automated speed into my business faster than I had the identity to hold it. And that's why I had to burn it down, is because I actually couldn't hold $1 million business yet. Now I can. Right now it's like, okay. But like at the time I didn't. And in fact, what happened because I went so fast is I actually ended up with some trauma on the other side around making money because like so now I have more stuff to work through. So my advice would be is work on that identity, but also don't put expediency, like work fast, like don't delay, but don't put expediency before yourself and your alignment. because that is what keeps it going, right? Like when you build a business is an extension of yourself, of who you are, of who you're embodying. And and so like making sure that you're true to that. What had happened is I would make some expedient choices because I was overwhelmed having scaled so fast. Because all the business coaches I had ever worked for were like, just go make the money and then you'll figure everything else out. Well, actually, there's some like really key things that you want to be paying attention to. Like I'm really good at creating money, but I may not always be as good at holding it. I like to give it away. I like to share, right? Or I might like to overhire, which is what that was what I was doing, right? Like let's all get together, like which is actually not the identity of a seven-figure operator. So I was actually a six-figure operator running a seven-figure business. Guess what? That identity doesn't match. Not in alignment. So now I fell back down a little bit to a six-figure business. I mean, I was still even after hitting 2 million and kind of burning things down, I was still making a half a million a year. Like it wasn't like I was, at rock bottom or anything like that. But, I wasn't at that level. So we hold the level, like the revenue levels we're at are tied to our identity and what we can actually hold and move forward. And so the identity of me, oh my gosh, yeah, that blind faith part, that was rough. Like I converted to become a Catholic on my journey after COVID, before I became a seven-figure business owner. Yeah, because without it, I would never have had the faith to stick through it to see it through. So I literally became Catholic to create a seven-figure business. You don't have to become Catholic, and that was just my path. But like that level of faith though is required. So, and I was guided to become Catholic to learn the faith. And then it ended up becoming this musical outlet. Like I sing funerals a couple times a month, like in weddings. It's super lovely. But like the identity after it loses some of its shine, right? Like, okay, so like I was determined, I'm gonna have a seven-figure business. I am seven-figure Emily, I am eight-figure Emily. Like, right, like I was like rah, rah, rah. And then I hit it, but I realized like I'd overspent on ad spend to get there. I just didn't realize what the KPIs were. Like I just I blindly focused on that one goal of seven figures. And I hit it super fast. But the cost to me was potentially like it was a very expensive lesson, right? It was a really expensive lesson. So now when I'm building, I'm really selective. And I don't just go build something because I have an idea and I see an opportunity because I'm really good at finding opportunities. Like that's a genius zone for me. But like I don't just go build them anymore because I'm like thinking through it. Okay, if I go down this pathway, am I going to like it? Right? Am I going to live my best life in this model? Yes or no, right? And if I feel like expansive, I go all in. But if I
Mm,
don't, mm-mm. So I use
I
my
love that.
intuition all the time in business because you have to like what I do is like this is actually a tactic in sales and business. It's called future pacing. I don't know if you or your audience have heard of this idea. Like
Hmm.
advertisers use this where you like imagine a future where X, Y, and Z happens. Guess what? My
Yes.
product will get you there. Oh yes, I want that. Advertisers have been using it forever. I use it on myself and I future pace what will it feel like to grow this business and scale it and expand it, this offer. And if I don't feel like this is the right path and this feels awesome, I just don't do it.
And is this part of what you do? So, for anyone listening right now, literally, Emily and I connected the other day, and I have not, we probably haven't been in a program together for, I don't know, 6 years or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I saw her post randomly on my Facebook the other day about this mini mastermind that she takes herself on 4 times a year, all by herself to go and exactly what you're saying, right? You future pace. You become Emily again instead of mom or business owner or wife or all the other hats that you wear. And you just probably get yourself some yummy food and you go to these beautiful places. Like you had the most amazing pictures. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've only ever done that once for myself. I have to do that. And that comment sparked you reaching out and being like, hey, haven't talked to you in ages. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you'd be the perfect speaker for this. I didn't. And so I love how the universe just like drops the
Mhm.
crumb on on the trail to wherever you're supposed to go next, whether it's a conversation or an opportunity, or like you said, sometimes you go into a space where the people that you meet inside that space lead you to the next thing instead of the program
Right.
itself, and that's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say next is how okay, so let's talk about how important it is for you to go and future pace, but also to shut out the noise of the world for a couple of days.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So this is something I started doing actually with a coach. I had like a one-on-one coach from the, do you remember Coach Kim Merritt?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
do.
I kept her as a coach long after I left the program, right? We worked together a long time, and she
Cool.
really helped me learn how to listen to the universe and my intuition and how
Yeah.
to be sovereign with me. Like I'm a recovering people pleaser, and sometimes I will just say yes to other people even if it's not what I want. And so like as a CEO, that's a problem. But it's an expectation of caregivers in our society. So sometimes being a mom and a CEO, I get myself in these pickles because moms in our society and caregivers in our society are expected to have no boundaries for their loved ones. And a
Yeah.
CEO's job is to be a boundary holder for the vision of the business. So like that was really big. That's been my big lesson this year. And how I got to this is because I take these quarterly masterminds, as Mara mentioned. I call them masterminds, but it's just me by myself in a hotel room. I make it a really nice hotel room, like usually on the beach.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I use points, like usually it's usually less than $1,000. But the ahas I get in that space, I've paid like $10,000 and more for coaching that hasn't given me like the ahas that I'll get just being holed up by myself. It took me a long time to do that. Like when I first was started making $1 million, like my coach was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just want to go to Disney World." And she's like, "You should go by yourself." And I'm like, "Why? Why would I go to Disney World by myself?" And then it hit me. It's like, well, if I can't be by myself, like, like what am I doing? Like you have, like, if I love this, it shouldn't matter if I'm by myself or not. So that, like, so 3 years ago, that was like my first day. I went to Disney World by myself, and I found I really liked going places by myself.
I think that's something as moms that we absolutely we drop off the face of the earth when we have kids, right?
Yeah.
I have a
Right.
little
Where do we live? Right.
I have a
Speaking of,
little intruder as
hello.
we speak. You say hi.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
She's my only one
Um,
left at home.
yeah.
I want to ask you though, like, okay, so you go away, you do masterminds by yourself,
Yeah.
but I guess one of the bigger questions that we all have is how do you balance the CEO life with mom life?
Oh, that's a good one. So I think I have a really great support system and support network. Like my husband taught me how to be a parent. He's super hands-on. He's a music teacher. He can keep his cool with 110-year-olds with instruments in a room that don't know how to play them. Not everybody can can say
I
that.
would not be able to do that.
Right. Like he cooks dinner every night. Like so he picks up a lot of the house pieces to help things move forward so that I can have this space to focus. Because we met in the same high school, we had this unique opportunity to live in our hometown where our families both reside. So we
Hmm.
have a duo called the Grandmas.
Yep.
And they help out. They used to help out regularly. Like one used to be my mother-in-law used to be my granny nanny. We paid her to take care of my kids when they were really, really young, which was really helpful. Um, but I think like now I've realized they don't want to help as much. And so we found a better balance where like I actually don't call them in except for occasional things like a mastermind. So I'm not using them every week anymore so that I can get this space away because what happens in the masterminds, I know this kind of finishes the question you'd asked before, is basically when I'm at the mastermind by myself, it's just like basically me and God. And I'm just downloading, like, and I'm watching the universe. I'm not distracted by the relationships and expectations around me. I'm just being me. And so everything I do while I'm gone is a lesson. Even if it like last time I got my car towed. That was a beautiful lesson on boundaries. I had to pay for that lesson. It was a lesson I needed because if I didn't need it, it wouldn't have happened. But it's like literally, I'm there by myself. So I know every single thing that happens to me is helping me move my business forward because it's just me in the world. And it's not relationships, it's not expectations. It's just, right? I'm just able to focus. And what I find is I'm able to get a glimpse of the next version of me while I'm away. And then when I come home, I spend the next 3 months integrating it into my life. Okay, why when I'm away I'm like this, when I'm home I'm not? What's the
Hmm.
gap? What am I not doing? What am I not saying? What am I not deciding? And then it takes me 3 months to integrate it, and then I go away again. And I just keep doing this process, and like legit, my life has been getting better and better. Like when I made my New Year's resolutions this year, I made 9 resolutions. I had 7 of them knocked out in like the first month.
Wow.
Still working on weight and financials. Still working on those. But other than that, like literally, I got them all knocked out. Like I go on these wonderful trips for myself. They're like a couple $100, maybe $1,000, 4 times a year. Like it's just an incredible way of like moving yourself forward and your
I
business.
think I think most of us have slight glimpses of that in the shower, when we're getting downloads and you're having like the best
Yes.
shower thoughts, but then
Yes.
inevitably somebody opens the door and says, "Can I have a snack? Can I have some juice?" And
Right.
you're like, "Oh, there goes my." So I think I'm gonna have to start putting this in, even if I start with 2 times a year before I
Yeah.
work up to.
And I keep my phone with me at all times and I jot down notes. I have
There you
a
go.
note, it's called my aha journal. And like anytime I get an idea, it just goes there. So then if someone interrupts me, it doesn't matter. I can go back to it later. I don't always, but at least I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's true because how many of us have these amazing visions and ideas and goals and all the stuff and it lives in our head and it never actually translates out into the universe? I think that's a real problem for a lot of us. But also, I want to ask about this is something I like to talk about, which is you got to have the lady balls to go after this stuff. Like you got to
Yeah.
have kahunas. Like this is not
Yeah.
for the faint of heart. And I think there's too many people who look at entrepreneurship and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go try this thing. And it's just like, no, if you are in, you
No.
are all in until successful. You cannot give up. You cannot quit halfway through. Like, you have to figure it out. And that is the hardest thing because that is not a skill we're taught that I
Mhm.
don't think in society, in school and everything. It's like there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. You either do it the right way or you're not doing it the right way. And then we're all searching for this external answer or validation when you're saying, no, 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 no. I go sit by myself and I realize, who am I? What do I
Right.
actually want? Right? What do I want to build
Right.
this year?
Yeah. What's my frequency? What am I bringing into the world? And I think that point about the external, because I was in academia, like like the
The
pinnacle
opposite.
of external validation. That's one of the things that frustrated me is like I could see all my students like hungering after chasing this grade. And I'm like, the grade doesn't even matter. It's totally artificial. I mark it with my pen. Like it doesn't matter. Why are you chasing this? And I was like, well, okay, let's try and chase a six-figure job. Also not the right move, but okay, that's where I was at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Like,
exactly.
right? But it's really about showing up as yourself fully and expanding because like there's like an energetic undertone to a business. A business will never expand beyond the energetic container that its owner can hold, or the owner and the operator together, right? Because the operator is an extension. Like a business is an extension of you. And I just love business as this pathway for self discovery because all of us have a unique frequency that we are meant to bring to the world. Like we wouldn't be here if we didn't. And like everyone needs it. So no matter who you are, like when you step into you and embody you, that's when you fully come alive. That's when you can really figure things out. And so for me personally, I have spent my life trying to fit myself into other people's boxes.
Hmm.
And so this year, when I'm learning about boundaries, I'm also learning about integration and how the integrated version of me, the person who is the seven-figure founder, the mom of five, the funeral singer side hustle, right? Like these are all me. And I'm doing a disservice to myself and to everyone in the world by not owning up to that. So my first business was in tech, very safe. This is acceptable. But I couldn't compete because I was a commodity, but I'm not. I bring so much more to the table. I'm a seven-figure founder who knows how to scale 2x a quarter and 10x a year. And I can build the systems to help you hold that identity, right? Like I do a lot more. And so now I'm learning how to step into and being comfortable and safe, being visible and being seen for who I truly am because I had like in reality, I see it with every client I get. I've built software for so many people. And if the client, if the identity of the founder isn't willing to grow and expand, the software goes nowhere. It doesn't matter what I build for people. If they're not willing to do the identity work, I actually can't help them. And so I've started to learn that and also not be offended if I push people away because I embody change. It's partly why I'm in tech in the first place. And so if you're ready to move, I can help you move. But many people, and myself included, have said they want to move, but really, they're not ready. And so if you're not ready, I'm going to rub you the wrong way because I push people. My mom was known as the steamroller. I don't write like anyways affectionately. She was a manager.
The
So
steamroller.
yeah, I hope I'm a little more gentle than that, but like if you're ready to move, I can tell you how to do it. I see where the money flows. I see where the blocks are. Yeah, I can help you move, but you got to be ready for it. So the people that are ready for it, they tend to come to me and we hang out and we stay together. But yeah, if you're not, if you're not really ready to move and you just think you do, but you don't really deep down, like, yeah, no, you're probably going to get annoyed by me.
Okay, one question on that one. How does somebody know if they're ready to move or not? Because most of the time we'll say we're ready to move, we'll say we're all in,
Yeah.
we'll say we decided, and then 10 years later we're still decided and all in and nothing is happening. So what's the difference?
Yeah, it's the decisions that aren't just in words, but it's in actions. And it's learning to be aware of which actions are actually communicating that, right? Like having an idea, like, I want to make $1 million. Like, but I call it the unsee it test. Can you unsee it? Because if you, like, for instance, J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, like living on welfare, writing in cafes, she couldn't unsee his story. She had to tell it. And when I saw my seven-figure business on paper I proposed it to my university and they said no, I was like, that sucks, but I can't unsee this. I have to create. It didn't even matter about the money. If you have that passion and drive, like this is an expression of you. You cannot unsee it. You cannot live in a world where this doesn't exist or you are not working towards it. You will succeed eventually. I've never seen anyone not succeed, right? 10 years is a long time. I would hope you would kind of shake things up before that. But at the same time, like there is a level of decision that I've been learning, right? Because I started as a recovering people pleaser. So the way I was able to make seven figures, I now understand, is because it was based on the market's desire, which is why I had to lower my price. It was because I had trouble originating my desire, right? And when I originated my desire, I had this really bad habit of going into debt because that made it safe. It rebalanced it. So so this is now we're getting like really high level identity energetics, right? Like so I've been learning that I have trouble holding profits. And that's a pattern that predates my business life that I see. Like I used to be a day trader on the stock market. I was so good at making money and then I have to give it all back. Right? Like, so this is a pattern that I have been living with almost since I was born. And so we have to release these blocks and these resistance. And I know it doesn't like I know because I've experienced like the unicorn experience where you created seven figures in just like basically 9 months. I created seven figures in 9 months. And so like living that and also living the flip side where no matter what you do, it doesn't work. That's energetic resistance. That's something in your fear, something in your field. Like I hired a setter this month and they were like, yeah, people aren't moving forward. It's really weird. Okay, that's data. Thank you. That's me. Right? Like, so like being able to recognize that until I do that inner work, which is why I go away 4 times a year, is to do that inner work because no one else can do it for me. I mean, I've hired coaches. They help, right? Every coach we work with is giving us a frequency that helps us move forward. Like I hired a coach recently, he helped me reconnect my head and my heart so I can make more intuitive and informed decisions. I hired a coach that helped me see this bottleneck, right, that was lurking behind the scenes. And so we just keep doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. And it's like an onion, you keep uncovering it until and the success that you have tells you you're on the right path. Like today, I'm going to write a post on Facebook about it. Today, I had this aha that there was decisions I was making financially that were out of order and were out of alignment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to change how I make those decisions moving forward. The electricity in my house blipped. I came to my office later so literally my entire house powered on when I had that thought. And I walked into my office later, my lights were on that I only use when I'm on camera. I don't have them on right now. But I was like, ah, this is the universe telling me to keep showing up, keep being visible. But and some people might say, oh, that's coincidence. But when you have these things happening to you, like on a daily basis, it stops becoming coincidence. And it's just like, this is how my life works. This is how the
Mhm.
universe communicates with me. Because as an entrepreneur, to have that faith in ourselves and what we're doing against everything the world says, like entrepreneurs are creating new realities. Like no one's gonna say like, yeah, I want that reality before it exists. Like, could you imagine Disney World until it existed? No, someone had to
No.
create it first. And you have to have the chutzpah and the commitment and the perseverance to create that reality and then invite others in. And then you know you have a winner. But before that moment, it's a long slog where you have to really have faith in your vision.
Did you ever think when you became a computer sciences professor that you were going to be this level of woo almost later in
I
life? Do you know what I
know.
mean?
Yeah, I
Isn't it
went
wild?
from like a CS professor to woo guru, basically. I know I'm still figuring that part out. I haven't figured out how to create a program for that for coaching because I'm
Well, it
like,
just,
I'm tech. What's going on?
yeah, but like you're known for helping with the tech and the scaling. Like if you want to
Right.
take your business to 7 or 8 figures, you're the girl to call. But like,
Right.
I mean, how fucking awesome is it
Yeah.
that this is your life now?
Which is why I can't look away, right? Like every once in a while I think about should I get a job? And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I can't
Can't
because
do
I'm
it.
here. I'm still here. Like I had a consistent pipeline of revenue for like 3 months in the past 5 years. And guess what? I paid all my bills. I'm still here.
Well, and it feels like to me because I also came from super corporate masculine energy,
Right.
toxic hustle culture, everything.
Yeah.
But now I'm so intuitive that I can literally feel things through a
Yeah.
screen when I'm talking to somebody. It's do what I do with
Yeah.
my clients too. It's like this weird intuition,
Yeah.
this weird
Mhm.
connection that I didn't used to believe was even possible. But now
Yeah.
I can feel like you're just getting started. Like I can feel that coming out of you right now. And
Nice.
anybody who's going to listen to you drop these kind of truth bombs is going to feel that exact same way. And these are
Right.
the conversations, like what you said, entrepreneurs are creating new realities. Like we're not just buying Porsches and standing in front of them taking pictures. We got mountains to move, right? Like
Yeah.
it's wild to me that this is where we're at after all of us start in these very like safe, prescribed,
Yeah.
socially acceptable paths.
Yeah. I love that.
And who you meet along the way and who you become. And that sounds so corny at the beginning when somebody's starting. Like if you're staring at, oh my gosh, I just want to make my first 6 figures, you're going to be like, what does that even mean? I need to embody the thing. And the business can only grow as far as I can. I want this. I want this. It's so
Right.
frustrating. But through fail, quote unquote, failing forward, you become a totally different person along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And I wouldn't even be here saying this if it hadn't been like absolutely true every single time, right? Like I created basically I'm a systems thinker. That's what I do. Whether it's people, information, data, it doesn't matter. And that's why like my specialty is in scaling because it's in operations. And tech is increasingly part of operations, so it's a good fit for me. But like the first thing I figured out was how to debug my manifesting. I was like, I want to go create 10K this week. Okay, how do I do it? Why isn't it working? And I literally created a systematic way, step by step, that you can debug your identity. And I started creating 10K a week on autopilot whenever I needed it. Well, that gave me a lot more chutzpah to keep going. I was like, well, if I can generate 10K in a pinch, like, okay, I think I'll be fine. Right? Like, I'll make this work.
I
Now I'm
love that
trying
you
to
say
build
chutzpah.
like, yeah.
I
We're from
love
New
it.
York. You're right, New Jersey.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we are running. Obviously we could talk about this for the next like
For
two
sure.
hours straight. We'll have to do it again.
Yep.
Okay, so do you have what's something that you would love to share with anyone listening right now that would help them, even if it's get a little chutzpah, you know what I mean? What would you like to give away to our listeners?
Oh, I love that. So I think being really clear on who you are and what identity you're embodying and kind of watching for it, like where that gap is. Like, is it that you like fast cars? That's me. Or that you really like long walks on the beach at sunset? Like, what part of you is not coming with you right now? And as you step towards that, everything else reorients. So that would be my big parting gift is getting clear on you and allowing yourself what you really love to do in a way that supports the people around you. Because if they love you truly, they want what's best for you. And if you love it, they're going to love it too. Even if they complain a little bit in the beginning, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
They
That's just
will complain.
yeah,
They
they will
will.
complain. That's okay. That's not them. Right. But that really, like being a six, like I can tell you having gone from like 6 to 7 figures, if you're aspiring to that first 6 figure year, like what you're saying no to, the standards that you're holding, that is what determines your level. And so, like, in fact, your ability to receive the judgment of others and to not care is directly tied to your ability to hold on to money. So, if you're at like, so at the 6 figure level, you can be fairly accommodating. 7 figures, no, no, no. you're being very true to you. And at each level, my understanding is you get even more true to you. That would be my parting gift. But also if you want to, check me out, emhill.com, EMHILL. You can get updates and emails from me because I just basically I drop whatever's coming through for me. I just
Ooh, I
share it for
love
better
that.
or worse. Sometimes I'm a
Yes.
little nervous about sharing it, but it's coming through, and it's for somebody. I'm not sure who. So if you want to get more updates, happy to share.
I'll grab that link and I'll drop it in the show notes. That would be amazing. Emily, this was amazing. Do you have one last, I always like to say one last little simple phrase that somebody could take away from today?
Yeah, delay is decay.
I love it. Delay is decay. Yes.
Yep, you're either moving or you're dying.
Yes. That's so
I,
true.
from someone who sings at funerals regularly, I see a lot of eulogies.
There you go. Oh my gosh. Well, you never know what that will bring into your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yep,
Oh
exactly.
man. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. I will drop all of her links below. Anybody listening, you go connect with Emily. She's amazing.
Thanks for
Thanks so
having
much,
me.
Emily.
Thanks for having me.